Proclaiming the family tree of Jesus is kind of like the biblical version of the 23andMe and all those other kinds of, lineage testing. Learn your heritage, learn who you're related to. But as this was proclaimed for many, especially in the early church, would have been evocative of memory. We speak of our own ancestors, and when you gather at a big family party, inevitably you'll speak of great aunt so-and-so or your great-great-grandmother, and somebody in the room will remember something. We gather and recall those kinds of things, especially at Christmas, where perhaps it's great aunt so-and-so's recipe for something. For my family, there are a number of treasured recipes. Pop Cricker's eggnog. Pop Cricker was my grandmother's great cousin or something like that. I don't remember where, but he was a master distiller at Baltimore Pure Rye. So his famous eggnog is truly legendary and potent, shall we say. But we hear Jesus' genealogy, and it's evocative of a lot of things as well. Certainly, we see the beauty, the arc, and the hand of God at work. There is meant to be symmetry here. There's meant to be an order to all of this, that God has a plan that unfolds not immediately. We think here of the 14 generations and a third 14 generations from the beginning of God's fashioning a covenant and forming a people to the time of Jesus becoming the fulfillment of that covenant. It takes a while for God's plan to unfold, but it is ordered, it is a plan. So that's the first thing that's evoked for us, is that God has a plan at work, and we have to appreciate that for ourselves. But the other piece of this, and we might not think of a lot of this because a lot of these people are unknown to us, but you read the whole of the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures, all of these names start popping up, and sometimes not in the best of light. And that's the other beauty of God's plan unfolding, is it counts less what we have done and more what God's hand is doing. God can work with imperfection. God can work with weakness. God can even work with infidelity. But His presence calls us back to fidelity, calls us back to faith, to walk with Him, to cooperation and openness and receptivity to His grace. Family history and family lineage can be messy. Everybody's got the branches that they'd rather not see or rather not talk about. And here in the Lord's genealogy, we see that all of these things, even the branches that might not have borne the most ripe fruit, are still part of God's plan. And that's good news for us who at times might not feel like we live up to the name always, but God's grace continues to work through us. God's plan unfolds, and all we need to do is trust. It sounds so simple, I know. All we need to do is trust. But we take all these signs that are proclaimed and recognize that it's worth the wait.